Hello, everybody. We still in the bedroom.
Just sillier and sillier.
Anyhow, so I'm Chad. This is Niecy.
Hey.
And we are about to dive into season 11 of Married at First Sight, children not included. And so earlier we talked about Christina and Henry.
Mm-hmm.
And if you missed that one, it's you can check it out. It's within the group of videos in our subscription. But tonight we're going to talk about, or this time we're going to talk about Olivia and Brett.
Olivia and Brett. So, if you saw the big overview, you heard me say this already, but Brett really wants people to think he's a jerk. He really, what's funny, if you, I don't know if you recall, but leading up to the wedding, when they did like the previews and the matchmaking specials, all that kind of stuff or whatever, the honeymoon, even just his, getting to know Brett sort of video, he didn't come off all that great. He really kind of came off, was kind of like, oh, who's going to get that guy?
Right.
But here's the thing. I think Brett's a good guy.
Yeah, I think Brett's biggest thing was Brett, I was just a po' boy born in North Carolina, raised in the back of fields.
Mm-hmm. In the sticks.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Brett might have maybe not have been that kind of person, but he probably didn't have the kind of a glamorous upbringings that he'd like to have.
Mm-hmm.
So he got into the computer industry, became a systems analyst. And those guys are very disciplined. They're used to talking to computers. They don't talk back. They do exactly what you tell them. They don't have any sense of humor.
He had a sense of humor. That was the problem.
Yeah, it was.
His sense of humor was a little sharp.
Yeah.
He's really sarcastic. But here's the thing. I think those are all defense mechanisms. Like you said, I honestly, I got the impression when he was around his family that, number one, he's got a family a lot like my family.
All boys, all brothers.
Well, yeah, but they do. I don't have all brothers and whatnot, but I have a family that likes to tease.
Mm-hmm.
They do a lot of teasing. They do a lot of picking at you. And I think Brett had to kind of learn to be defensive in that environment. And that's his go-to sort of emotion is, get your kind of... like a porcupine getting the needles up kind of a thing. So he gets prickly real fast, but not because he's trying to be a jerk, just because he's kind of guarding his emotions and whatnot, you think?
Didn't know how to turn it off, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it became an auto thing.
Yeah.
And so he didn't know how to turn it off. And the problem is I don't think Olivia was used to that.
Right.
Yeah, I think
Absolutely.
She was used to... all the guys swooning over her, and
well, I don't know about all that.
Yeah,
who was swooning over Olivia?
Well, I'm just saying before she showed up there, maybe she had been used to that.
I doubt it.
Probably not.
I think we're talking about the wrong person.
Yeah,
I could be wrong, but and not that she's not attractive. She's cute, but I don't think she's necessarily that girl.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not, whatever. But I do think that. We're talking a little bit about background. I think Olivia is used to being not so much deferred to, but definitely heard. And I think sometimes she just didn't feel that Brett was hearing her because they did come from different points of view. But I do think that she's used to being kind of the smart person in the group, kind of taking the lead. Mm-hmm. I think maybe she's given a level of authority on her job and things like that. And people respect her opinion. And I think she just had a hard time feeling that Brett was really hearing her. But I think Brett was so busy being defensive that, sometimes you talk about the difference between listening to what someone is saying so that you can hear them or just waiting for your turn. And I think sometimes Brett would hear that one thing that sat wrong, and rather than really listen to the rest of it, he was just waiting for his turn to attack, And
Olivia was in the medical profession.
She's an RN, I believe.
Yeah, so she probably was very used to, because I don't know for sure, I've never been a doctor. I played one on TV, but no. But they a lot of their decisions have to be made right now, and I'll bet she that may have been something that she couldn't turn off, because people get to be what they are. And what I mean by that is if you're in that, because most of us spend more time working than we do having fun.
Right.
And so when she's at work, she's got to be in charge. She's got to be confident, and she's got to be smart.
And it's kind of stressful in the medical industry. You know, I don't know what, and I don't even know if it matters, you know, like which type, like, you know, whether she's in the ER or whether she's in, you know, an OB clinic or whatever. I don't know if it really matters. At the end of the day, you're dealing with people's health care, and sometimes lives are at stake. I know in this country, we're always in need of more nurses. There are never enough nurses for some reason in this country. And so it's kind of a stressful job. So I think Olivia likes to blow off steam in her own way. You know, she's not a raucous kind of person, nothing like that, but she likes to unwind. She likes to go to trivia night. She likes to travel. And when you're under that kind of stress, you don't want to have to do a whole lot of thinking when you get off of work of, you know, can I afford to spend this? Can I afford this vacation? And that was part of her thing. Right. You know, Brett was so focused on the numbers and the discipline, which he admittedly needed to be focused on because of the fact that they were in slightly different places financially. But that was one of their issues. You know, he felt that she was being sort of frivolous, whereas really she was just trying to unwind because she has a stressful job.
You know what else is funny is he mentioned that he had a spreadsheet that he kept for the budgeting. Remember that? And he's a systems analyst. I bet that spreadsheet would turn colors when it got to a certain level. Right. And it was probably really fancy. I bet it's something he was really proud of. Well, yeah. And he wanted her to be too. But she was like, man, I'm trying to spend it.
But here's the problem. They were both right.
Yeah.
They were both right. You know, one of the things that you've got to be careful about in a marriage is the way you interpret what your spouse is saying, because different things mean different things to different people. Right. You know what I mean? So sometimes it's so important to get to know who they are as a person. You know, Chad will tell you that I have a habit of sometimes saying things a little more sharp than he would like, or some other people would like.
No.
I know you probably wouldn't even believe that, would you? But the good part about it is he knows me. So he knows even when, you know, somebody else would have said it the same way and he might have, you know, dotted them in their eye. He knows who I am. So he kind of gives me enough grace to say, okay, she didn't mean it that way. I know she didn't mean it that way because I know her heart. And they needed more opportunities. They needed to make a greater effort to get to know who he was. I feel like Olivia was, and I don't want to keep blaming Olivia. I feel like I blamed Christina for everything, and it's not any one person's fault. But I do feel that if she had taken a little more time to get to know Brett, she wouldn't have been offended by so many of the, you know, the things that he said. I know some of the things were a turnoff because she felt like she had put her heart on the sleeve, and I get it. But most of the things she was offended by, he wasn't trying to be offensive. He was being defensive, and his defense mechanism is sarcasm more often than not. And listen, I can't say anything bad about that because we do that well in my family. But
but some people don't get sarcasm. Listen, right. Personal story, okay, everyone. The first time my father met my, at that time, to-be wife and her sister, he pulled me to the side. He said, "Man, don't marry." He's like. But because he didn't know them, he didn't understand. Right. My dad came from a time where sarcasm, you know, they didn't do it.
And that's our love language in my family.
So he was like,
yeah, it's like if you can't talk trash in my family, you ain't gonna make it. Yeah. So you gotta be, because the other thing is you just don't know what's going to come out of the person. You don't know. So you got to be able to put those feelings, not get hurt so easily. And that being said, though, Brett had a responsibility too. Yeah. You know, he had a responsibility to recognize that, like me, he comes from a background where that's natural, but everybody doesn't do that well. Everybody doesn't, you know, take it as easily. And he should have made more of an effort to, number one, tone it down a little, but also to hear her out, because he would kind of cut her off and kind of, with the comebacks, too quick with the comebacks, give her a chance to say what she's saying and hear it from her heart. Don't hear the words that didn't come out the way, everybody's not a politician. Everybody doesn't know how to, polish the language perfectly. Get to know who your spouse is so that you can hear the things that they're trying to say as much as what they are saying.
They had another issue that was almost a deal breaker. So Brett owned the house. Wasn't the nicest house, wasn't the nicest neighborhood, but he owned the house. And to him, that was a big accomplishment.
It is an accomplishment.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But she worked a long ways away. So they had some issues with figuring out where to live. Of course, if you're going to be newlyweds, you can't have your wife in an apartment across town.
Right.
And you're at the house over here. So that became an issue as well.
But it was another one of those issues where they were both kind of digging their heels in instead of, why not? Sometimes the best thing to do is say, hey, there's got to be a solution. Let's talk about what the solutions can be instead of got to do it my way. No, we got to do it my way. No, my way's better. My way's better. How about let's stop and see, wait, maybe there is somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. You have to problem solve based on solving problems, not based on getting your way. And that was the issue there.
Yeah.
For example, here's a great example. So he owned a house. What would have been the problem with maybe the two of them finding a nice apartment somewhere middle way between where he worked and she worked and renting out the house?
Exactly. Yeah.
So maybe that would have been a lot of trouble, but what you're doing is you're saving a marriage that could last a lot of years.
You're giving your marriage a fighting chance. Yeah. I mean, if you're going to start by, not compromising or start by, having one person feel slighted, I don't know where you're going to go from there.
Yeah. And they had problems. They couldn't go.
And they by no means were the problems insurmountable. But the truth is, they should have made a greater effort to meet each other somewhere in the middle.
And, after it all broke apart, Brett got him a new...
They've moved on.
He got him a new boo.
Everybody's moved on.
Real quick.
Yeah.
But, this just in. Go.
Oh, so according to the internet, Olivia has been seen in public getting kind of cozy with Henry.
And if it's on the internet, it's got to be true.
It's got to be true, right?
Yeah, so...
now, I think they've both made a point of saying that right now they're both friends. But let me tell you something. They could each do worse, couldn't they? I think they'd make a great couple, honestly.
Yeah, I bet they're friends.
I think... They're so silly. But anyway, but I do think that their personalities work,
I know, because, he's that kind of guy that she could say, hey, come on, let's go.
But let me tell you something. Olivia better watch out for those friends, those female friends of Henry's.
Oh, yeah. Henry had a lot of girlfriends. Well, not girlfriends, but friends that were girls.
Yeah. They seem to be girls who, when nobody else wanted them, they only wanted to be in the friend zone. But as soon as he said he was getting married, there was a little, oh, he's mine kind of a thing going on. Yeah, he better watch out for those friends. Unless he really, but I don't know, homegirl. I think her name was Christina too, but she was a little weird.
Friends with stimulus? Anyway.
So that was Olivia and Brett, okay? Right. So again, tell us what your thoughts are on Olivia and Brett. Please like, please share, please subscribe, please come back, because we are going to talk about Karen and Miles, and there's a lot to talk about.
Peace.
Peace.